Prim, look. Look. Hey guys, welcome to or back to the channel.
Hello and welcome to my June TBR. There are a lot of books I wanted to put on June's TBR, but I also wanted to be realistic, so I narrowed it down to 5 that I plan on reading this month and I'm hoping I get to. I didn't get to every single one of my May TBRs, so depending on how the mood fits me, I might end up grabbing one of the ones from that list too. First up on my June TBR, I have Run on Red. And I'm probably not going to pronounce her name correctly, but Noelle Ely. Hopefully I said that right. So I have seen a lot about this book. People keep talking about it on the Facebook group that I watch for recommendations and just watch what people are talking about. And the group is psychological thrillers. Actually, there's like 4 groups with a similar name to that I belong to on there. But within each of the groups, I keep seeing this one pop up. And what this one is about are 2 girls on a road trip and what seems to be a road rage incident with a truck. This truck won't stop following them and chasing them. And it seems that there's a twist within it that something happens after they're being chased by this truck. And I've heard that a couple people say that something very odd ends up happening in the book. So that obviously intrigued me as to what that twist may be or what may happen. And so I thought it would be a good thriller to kick off June with.
I am in such a fantasy mood. I don't know if this fantasy era is ever going to end. I read Fourth Wing and that just made me crave fantasy books. All I want to do is read about fantasy worlds and dragons and magic and fighting and the fantasy politics of those worlds and the kings and queens that rule those worlds. I just want to keep reading about them. And so this month, this puppy is driving me nuts. She's chewing on everything. Anyways, this month I have 2 big chunkers. 2 chunkers of fantasy books. You guys, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get through both of these books this month. But the first one I want to talk about is one that I have already started reading. And it's First Binding by R.R. Verde. I've heard really great things about this book. I'm currently on chapter 3. You're following a guy who is in a tavern and he is going to be telling a story, and he does have some kind of magic, and the magic kind of binds to him, which I think is the title, The First Binding. I haven't figured out the whole title yet, but it's early in the book. So, and you're kind of hearing stories of heartbreak about, a guy who loves a woman, blah, blah, blah. So far so good. I will be finishing this book this month. Now, if I'll have time, look how thick this book is. This book is 817 pages. So, assuming I have time to finish this book and get into the next one, we will see.
Next up is Going Zero by Anthony McCarten. This one, a couple coworkers had read and really liked it. They thought that I would like it because they had suggested Dark Matter by Blake Crouch before I read it, and I actually really liked it. Dark Matter is a very smart mystery thriller with sci-fi elements in it. I wouldn't say fantasy. I would definitely say sci-fi elements in it. And this one sounds very similar. It's like a mystery with some sci-fi elements in it. It's about a spy tech company that, in order to test its software to find people, it challenges and gives a reward for people to go off the grid to see if it can find them. And if it can't find the people from this test group, then you win $3 million. There's a character involved. It says a librarian from Boston who really needs to win this and be able to go off the grid and have that, I guess, opportunity to go off the grid. And it doesn't give you much details beyond that. So it did intrigue me. the way they talked about the book and how much they liked it and how similar it was to Dark Matter made me want to read this. So I put it on my list.
The next chunker on my June TBR is The Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee. Brian has a YouTube channel of his own. He's one of the first booktubers that I found and I follow. He is actually the person that introduced me to Robert B. Parker's Spencer series, which I have been reading and loving. I've read through the 9th book, so I'll be starting the 10th book soon. They're little short books. They're only maybe 200, 250 pages, so they're very fast reads, and I've been loving that series. But he has a trilogy. All 3 books are already out. This is the first book of the trilogy, and I have enjoyed his YouTube videos. I've enjoyed the books that he has recommended, so I cannot wait to see what he's written in this book. So again, another chunker. I don't even know how many pages. This book is 763 pages. So I have 2 books that are one's over 800 pages and one is almost 800 pages. So very aggressive TBR, but like I said, I am in a fantasy mood and I really hope to get to both of these this month.
Talk about for my June TBR, I may actually start June with, because I really wanted to read it when I saw it in May. It wasn't on my May TBR, but as usual, when I'm seeing books out there, other things get knocked off the list. And I've been debating to read Run on Red next, or this one, which is The Secret Book of Flora Lee by Patty Callahan Henry. I had read the synopsis and it just struck me like it was going to be a really good book. And it's part historical fiction, which I don't typically read. It takes place during World War II Nazi invasion, and it's about 2 sisters. And an older sister starts reading a fairy tale she makes up to her younger sister to soothe and comfort her. Her younger sister ends up going missing, and then 20 years later, the older sister happens upon a book that is the same fairy tale she used to tell her younger sister. And she hadn't told anyone else. It was only her younger sister about this fairy tale. So she feels like it's a key to finding her missing sister. And there's also, what I love, a promise of a twist, and I really want to see what that is. I really feel like that premise sounds very intriguing to me, and I wanted to read it. Barnes & Noble picked it for their May book club pick too, and I tend to pay attention to what they're picking because they tend to pick good books. So I'm trying not to have too much of a high expectation because it can ruin a book too. So, but I am excited. I think I'm going to kick off June with this book.
I have 3 more books on my June TBR. They are shorter because, I wanted to mix it up, put some shorter books, quicker books in there. I don't want to get in a reading slump. So I want to read Joe Nesbo's The Bat. This is a copy from the library that I borrowed. This is the first book in a series, and it takes place in Sydney. The author is Joe Nesbo is not American either. Joe Nesbo lives in Oslo, so he is a non-American writer, and y'all know I love reading books from authors outside of America. Their writing style seems to be different. Their topics seem to be a little different. They kind of go to places that American writers just don't go, and I don't know why. I can't explain it, but their books seem to have a grittiness to them that I just really like. So in this book, you're following a detective, Harry Hole. I think one of his books has actually become a movie. I'm not sure which one, but one of his books has become a movie, I'm pretty certain. And so I want to start the series. I want to find out about Harry Hole, this detective, and go along with him on his detective adventures.
The next one up, I don't physically have. It doesn't come out till June 16th, and I'm really excited about it. It's called The Puzzle Master by Danielle Trissoni. And someone described it, I think they had an arc. Vinci Code plus Silent Patient with a sprinkling of Stephen King, and that alone made me really want to read it. And it's about a ex-football star who had a brain injury, and he is able to solve it. Gave him a superpower almost, is the way they described it, that he can solve puzzles and ciphers really easily. And he gets teamed with someone who is in prison for murder, and they believe that he would be able to help solve this murder. And the woman, Jess, seems like she has something, there's a secret, and she is keeping silent for a reason about the murder that she is accused of. And I feel like there's so many elements of things that I've either read or seen in a movie that encompass this book that sounded really intriguing to me. So I definitely want to read it when it comes out. I'm excited for it to come out in the mid-month and pick it up.
The next book that I hope to get to in the month of June is an ARC that I was so lucky to receive from the publisher, and it is called The Handyman Method. It has 2 authors. It's by Nick Cutter and Andrew F. Sullivan. I have heard of Nick Cutter. He wrote a book called The Troop, and that is on my wish list, like TBR, that I want to read. I have not read it yet, but I have heard of them. I've never heard of Andrew F. Sullivan, but this is a horror book. You're following a family that moves into a new subdivision that's newly being built, and there's this creepy handyman that comes along, and he's like, hey guys, I can help you fix anything you want at all. Just let me know and I'll take care of it. Okay, so he's a little creepy, and this is also involves a haunted house somehow. So I don't know how a new construction house in a new subdivision can be haunted, but I'm gonna find out because I am very, very lucky. I feel very fortunate to have received this ARC, and I can't wait to read it.
Lastly, what I want to read for June hasn't come out either. It comes out June 6th. It's called My Murder by Katie Williams. And it sounds like it's a little bit of a comedy. It has comedic undertones, and it's about a woman who is brought back from her murder by a government project, which I don't even know what that means. But she is then has to go back to her life, and she is wondering who had attempted to murder her around her. And I'm doing, I think, a really poor job at describing what I had read on Goodreads. It just happened to be in my feed on there. And I feel like it just sounded really intriguing to me to have to try and solve your own murder, but somehow you survived, or been, like, the government project part sounded just different. And sometimes I like when there are books that just talk about something in a different way. So that one, I was very intrigued. I want to pick it up and see what that one is. And so that is it for my June TBR.
The last book on my June TBR is a book I know nothing about. I have never heard of this author. I have never heard of this book. It is a book in a series, and y'all know I love a good series. So I saw this at the library, and I just picked it up and read the back and just had to bring it home with me. It is called Girl in a Rabbit Hole by R.J. Law. And I'm just going to read the back of this because it's short and I don't know how else to explain this book. They are watching all the time, watching Claire Foley with eager eyes. They know all about her, her goals, her fears, how many cups of coffee she drinks in the morning, how long she brushes her teeth at night. It will start with an offer she can't refuse, a threat she cannot ignore. It will end in a place of terror and secrets, where surprises lurk around every corner and friends and villains all look the same, a place of terrifying dangers and stunning revelations, a place of deeply disturbing mysteries and dark, chilling deeds. They think they know everything about her, every way to make her bend, but there's one thing they don't know. This time, they may have messed with the wrong person. I can't wait to read why she's the wrong person to mess with. That's what got me. So, and the other books, right now it looks like there's 6 books in the series. So there's the rest of the series. If this is a good book, I will continue the series and I will be sure to let you guys know. So this is my June TBR. Feels a little aggressive just because of the 2 chunkers in here, but I can't wait to get to these books and we will see if my fantasy era continues.